It's Friday night, March 26th. Me and AJ just got done watching the Pistons-Nets game. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty disappointed. Blake Griffin got us tonight.
Chance had to really get ready for this one because he didn't want to be in a bad mood. And
I was a little sad, but this should get me into a better mood, I would say.
We're doing the post-deadline playoff predictions, but the thing about that is the Pistons aren't in here.
Yes.
So,
but the Nets, who we were just watching,
are
going to be in there.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Nets, let's talk about my Eastern Conference playoff predictions.
Do you want to do you'll tell your 1 through 5, and then I'll do my 1 through 5, and then 6 through 11?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So my 1 through 5, and this isn't what I think is going to be. This is
by the end of the season.
Just regular season standings by the end of the year. So I have Sixers, Bucks, Nets, Heat, and Celtics as my 1 through 5.
Okay. I had the exact same 5.
Okay, so that makes it easy.
Like I told you before when I was making mine, this wasn't a lazy thing. I didn't want to just keep it. I tried to keep ours different, but these top 5 are I feel like they're
pretty explanatory.
I mean, the Sixers are just the team. They seem the most concerned about the regular season, in my opinion. So I think they're going to keep that best record. And then the Bucks are looking a lot better lately than they have all season.
For sure.
And they've always been a regular season team. And the Nets don't really care, but they're so good that they're still going to be up in the 3rd seed.
And they've had injury problems.
The Heat are making their way up as well.
Yeah, they just picked up Victor Oladipo, and we talked about that in the last video. So, since we have the same 5, who out of this 5 do you think is the favorite to win the East?
When it comes
healthy?
to the playoffs, the Nets.
Yeah.
They're a playoff team. All their guys are going to come to play when it matters.
Right.
Hopefully. I mean, you never know with Kyrie Irving, but even without him, look how good Harden's looking, and I don't think it really matters. If I was doing this based off the playoffs, I would go Nets, Sixers, Heat, Bucks, Celtics.
Nets, Sixers, Heat, Bucks, Celtics.
Yeah.
That's similar to mine.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do our playoff predictions too in this,
we'll get into that too, which are very different.
I think with the Eastern Conference, it's the top 4 that really have a chance, and then kind of the rest. The Celtics are just outside that. Yeah. And they just picked up Evan Fournier, but I don't think that takes them into the conversation with the Heat, Nets, Bucks, and Sixers. I just can't see one small addition make a big difference for them, to be honest. But what is your 6 through 11 then?
Okay. At 6, I have Atlanta. And then the big difference here is that we have a jump up. I have the Bulls all the way up at 7. Okay. After this Vucevic trade, I think they go on a run. And then I have the Pacers at 8. I have the Knicks doing a little better, going up to 9. I have the Hornets sliding because of the LaMelo injury, and they're just a really young team, and I don't know how they'll do down the stretch. And then the Raptors in 11.
Yeah, so I don't think any of these teams have a realistic shot at even winning a playoff series.
No. Especially just because, it
would take a lot.
The Bulls would match up with the Bucks here, which it just would not turn out well for them.
Mm-hmm. So the difference here for us, so we both had the Hawks at 6. They're playing really well lately, and they just kept John Collins. There was talks of him being traded, but I'm glad they kept their core together. I'm excited to see what they can do for the playoffs. So you had the Bulls in the playoffs, and I had them just outside the playoffs.
Yep.
And I do that because they're a few games out, and I'm not sure that the addition of Vucevic is going to be enough to pass some of those teams.
So there's my question. If you believe that, do you think that the trade for Vucevic was stupid?
No. It's weird. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they made the playoffs, let me say that. But, I think there's going to be a time period where it takes... I don't know. It's weird. I think it's going to be it's going to take a little bit of time for Vucevic to mesh with this team because he's been on that Orlando team for so long. I don't think he's going to come in right away and be in his best form. But I do like the combo of Zach LaVine and Vucevic the next few years, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be ready to go right away.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that. Vooch has been on that Orlando team his whole career, right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And he's been in that same position for a long time. It'll be interesting to see him in a new place.
I do like that pick and roll combo with LaVine, though.
Yeah,
I just think they need more, and they're gonna have cap space this summer, so I could see them go grab another guard or wing. So, I like the trade for them long term for sure. And this year, I could definitely see them making the playoffs, but I just like the Hornets and Pacers just a little bit more.
Okay. So are we gonna go into
in terms of the playoffs? So, in my bracket, I've got the Sixers, the 1 seed, and 8 seed Hornets.
Okay.
Going head to head in the first round, and the Sixers obviously win. I have them winning in 5 games, making it to the Eastern Conference semifinals.
So I have the Sixers versus the Pacers here, and I have the Sixers winning in 5 as well.
Okay.
They're just, one versus 8 usually goes 4 or 5, and they're just this clearly superior team. And I'll give Sabonis and Brogdon and Miles Turner and all those. I'll give them a game. I'm not going to completely disrespect them, but 5 is where I have them at.
The
4 wouldn't
Sixers
surprise me.
Yeah, I don't think they're really going to have an answer for Joel Embiid, which I don't think any team does, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's just so much firepower when you compare the two teams. The Sixers are they're just ready to make a playoff run more than the Pacers are.
And the Pacers seem to run into that every year, where they just run to a team with more firepower.
Yeah. In my second playoff series of the first round was the 2 seed Bucks versus the 7 seed Pacers, who you had as 8. So it's pretty much the same thing. I had the Bucks winning in 6 in this one. I think the Pacers maybe get a couple games on them, but I don't see them winning series against the Bucks.
Okay, so here I have the Bucks running into what would be my 7 seed Bulls, and I have this series going 7 games.
Really?
Okay. So I just don't trust the Bucks, and I know that's not really that's not really a unpopular opinion, but I know that you would expect them to run over a team like the Bulls, but I feel like the Bulls' firepower on offense is that far from what the Bucks have. And
I would have to disagree.
No?
Because I look at matchups, and they can't match up with the Bucks at all. Who are you putting on Giannis? Giannis is going to have a field day against any team they throw. Any person. Are you going to throw Thad Young or Lauri Markkanen?
Thad Young. No, his name's Thagic Johnson, actually.
I'm just saying, Giannis is the best player by far in that series, and then Middleton as well. They wouldn't really have a matchup for him either. So it's their best 2 players. I just don't think they can stop either of them, and the Bucks should. I think the Bucks would handle that series pretty easily. So you think
4 or 5?
Yeah, I say 5.
Okay.
I think Zach LaVine probably has to drop 50 for them to grab a game.
Well, I'm gonna stand on it because I don't like changing up on my opinion, but looking over it with what you're saying, I could see, 7 is a little risk.
Sometimes with the playoffs, you just have to go player by player and who's going to match up with each other. It can be that simple sometimes, but so my next series, I think we have the same one. It's 3 seed Nets versus Hawks, and I had the Nets winning in 5 for obvious reasons.
I didn't give the Hawks a game.
Yeah.
I have the Nets at 4, and I think they're all going to be blowouts.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Nets are going to cruise through the playoffs. Which
I can see that. I have. Oh, actually, I shouldn't spoil it.
Yeah, I kind of just spoiled myself.
I had them winning in 5. I think Trae Young and John Collins have one really good game, and maybe Kevin Durant rests or something in game 4 or something, and they grab one. But it's still, I still think it wouldn't be a good series. But for the Hawks to make the playoffs this year, that's a step forward for sure. And I like what they've got in Trae Young, John Collins, and company.
I was just looking at it, and other than maybe Capella versus... Is Jeff Green still at the 5 right now for the Nets, or is DeAndre?
No, it's DeAndre.
Okay, still.
And then Claxton is their backup.
Capella's still better than both of those guys. I think other than that, there's not a single position that the Hawks have a better player. Trae Young is not better than Kyrie.
So what would it be at the 3? It'd be Joe Harris versus DeAndre Hunter.
Okay, so that's close.
I mean, yeah, it's close, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
though.
It's just too much firepower.
Capella's definitely better than DeAndre.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have 4 for them.
Yeah. And then our last series, we have the same thing as well. It's Heat Celtics, and I had the Heat winning in 6, and you had them winning in 5 games. So pretty similar there. I just think the Celtics took a step back in terms of talent this year, and it just doesn't mesh quite as well as we hoped. And then for the Heat, they just grabbed Oladipo, and we saw what they did in the playoffs last year. I really don't think it was a fluke. I thought it was more of a matchup thing. Like, those top Eastern teams just couldn't match up with them, and it was more than just a bubble thing to me.
Yeah, and I mean, are they as good as they were in the bubble? I don't know, but was it a fluke that they were...
I would argue that their roster got better.
Their roster got better, but I guess my point is they hit a ceiling in the bubble that was really high, and they were really playing well. And I think the Heat could still do that, but do they make a finals run? I guess that's not really on the Heat. I guess the East got better. So
for sure. Oh, the Nets just came flying in this year.
Yeah. So
I just think they have so many guys that can beat you. Like, if Jimmy's not... Like, this is how it seemed in last year's playoffs. If Jimmy wasn't hitting his shots, then, like, Duncan Robinson stepped up, or Tyler Herro stepped up, Dragic would step up. Like, they were such a team-oriented thing with them that, like, it's just like on any given night they had a shot, even if Jimmy Butler wasn't hitting his shots. So I think we have the same...
I have Sixers versus Heat and Nets versus Bucks.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes it easy then. Who did you have Sixers versus Heat?
I had the Sixers in 7 games.
I did as well.
I almost picked the Heat here. I really did, just because I trust them so much from what we saw. But I can't give up on the Sixers because I've been on the Sixers.
That's the same thing with me. This was really
This is the
hard.
best series in the entire East. Maybe the playoffs. I don't know.
Honestly.
That will be fun. I'd love to watch that. I think the Heat might have the advantage, like, roster-wise. Like, you look like
depth-wise, for
Sixers,
sure.
Bam, and Embiid matchup. But then when it comes to guard play, like, Jimmy and Simmons, I would argue Jimmy's the better player right now. Hero, Robinson, Dragic, Nunn. They're just deep. They have a lot of guys. And I picked the Sixers because at the end of the day, I don't know if they could slow down Joel Embiid enough.
I think this series really comes down to, like what you were saying, how much Bam Adebayo can slow down Joel Embiid. Because if Embiid is minimized to an extent, then I don't think the Sixers have a shot. Like, I would say Joel Embiid has to be like that MVP caliber player for them to win this game, and I'm confident that he can, because I don't think there's any center in the league that can guard him. Even Gobert, I don't think could guard him.
The biggest reason that it was so hard for me to pick is the last time we saw Bam against a great big man, which was AD, he got schooled, but Bam wasn't healthy either. So, like, it was hard for me to pick, but I'm just gonna go with the Sixers. I wouldn't. If the Heat win this in 7, I'm not going to be surprised.
Oh, same here.
Or if they come out winning 6, they just, I just picked the Sixers.
That's a great series to have in a semifinal. Like, you usually don't get that kind of matchup.
Here's where things change a little bit. We both had the Nets and Bucks. I want to hear how many games you have yours in.
Okay, I had the Nets winning in 7.
Okay, I have the Nets in 5 games.
Okay.
Like, I just think they're going to come out and dominate. I think it's too much firepower. Like, you look at Drew Holiday, he can only guard one guy. And guess what? If he guards Harden, Kyrie Irving's out there. If he guards Kyrie Irving, James Harden's out there. And I
mean, Drew Holiday and DiVincenzo are not bad defenders.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think we're going to be really...
I think Giannis is a matchup problem for them. And you can say Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant is not the same defensive player anymore.
Yeah.
And he can't seem to stay on the floor either, which is kind of an underrated part of this whole thing. Like, is Kevin Durant going to be ready to go by the playoffs?
No.
In their case, I would hope that they're as careful as possible, which I think they have been. So, best case scenario, you go into the playoffs with all those guys, and I have them winning the East. So, I had them winning this series versus the Bucks in 7 games. You had them in 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's just too much firepower on the Nets. Like, nothing against the Bucks. I like what they've got with the big 3 in Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis. But look, the Nets have Harden, Kyrie, and KD.
That's just too much.
And they got a little bit more depth recently. So, for crying out loud, they got Blake Griffin coming off the bench, and he looks like he got his knees back. So
yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's like what?
I know that hurts as a Pistons fan.
There's a part of it where when a guy is playing for a championship, there's just more motivation, and it makes sense. He's a bench player on a championship team, but at the end of the day, 10 years from now, we're going to look at his resume, and he's going to probably be an NBA champion. So yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah, the East. I mean, that's it for the East. It was the top team.
Well, we had Sixers versus Nets in the Eastern Finals, I had the Nets. And we both had the Nets winning in 7 games. So
I just think, like you said, Giannis is going to give the Nets problems. I think Embiid is really going to give them problems because he plays in the post a lot. So that'll be fun to watch.
I still don't think it'll be enough to match up.
No.
Moving on to the second half of the video with the Western Conference.
We only really have one difference here.
Let's just go through our 1 through 10. Let's just each go through our 1 through 10. I had the... Ooh, okay, I see what you got there. I had the Jazz, Suns, Clippers, Nuggets, Blazers, Lakers, Mavs, Grizzlies, Spurs, and Warriors.
I had the Suns, Jazz, Clippers, Nuggets, Blazers, Lakers, Mavs, Grizzlies, Spurs, and Warriors.
Yeah.
The big difference is the first seed.
Yeah.
I think the Jazz are...
Why do you think the Suns hop over the Jazz?
Because they're playing really well right now, and...
So are the Jazz. I don't see the Jazz slowing down anytime soon.
You don't see the Jazz slowing down?
No.
I think I do.
I think they just won by 40 the other night.
I know, but I don't think they're the same team they were when they went on... What was that stretch where they won?
I mean, it's hard to be that good.
Yeah, of course. No, obviously. But I mean, I'm saying, what's the game difference right now? What is that?
They're up 2.5?
Okay.
2.5, 3 games.
I guess it really comes down to... Now, this is the thing. I'm basing it off if they play their starters down the stretch, which a lot of teams don't. But assuming they do, I trust a team with Chris Paul down the stretch more than a team with anyone on the Jazz.
Really? Okay.
So that's...
Sorry, I just yawned, but... I just think they do... I think they do just enough to get the first seed. I think it'll be really close, but at the end of the day, they've just been clicking on all cylinders all season long, it seems like. And I don't see them slowing down in the regular season, at least. And I had the Suns right behind, followed by the Clippers. With the Suns, they just play really well together. I don't know if they're going to have the best player on the floor in any series, especially in the West. But in terms of 1 through 10, the rotation, I think it's really good.
Well, the thing about Chris Paul is, I think when it comes playoff time, he
usually loses in 7.
You said the Suns have the best player at any time. I have them as the first seed, and we'll get to the playoffs here in a second. And I think Chris Paul's definitely the best player.
Oh yeah, against the Grizzlies. Yeah, On your bracket, you have them playing the Grizzlies, and I would have them playing the Mavs, 2 and 7 seeds. So,
yeah,
obviously, he's not better than Luka.
No. His team is though. So
yeah, that's true. Yep.
So do you want to start here with the playoffs?
Yeah. So my first round matchups, I've got the first one. I've got Jazz versus Grizzlies. I think it's good for the Grizzlies to make the playoffs this year, especially with how young they are. And then take a step by making the playoffs, but the Jazz are just too good, and they win in 5 games.
Yeah, I have the Suns and the Grizzlies, obviously, not the Jazz, and I have them winning in 5 games. The Grizzlies just aren't deep enough for the Suns. I mean, it comes down to, like you said.
I would say they're a deep team. They go like 11 or 12 deep, but like, it's not. They're just not as talented as any. I guess of these that's what I meant. In the playoffs,
talent depth. I guess like you go, Chris Paul and Ja match up, but then there's no Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks. There's no second guy there. Well, Valanciunas, but still not Devin Booker.
Jaren Jackson, if he's back too.
Yeah, true.
Could maybe be a problem for them.
Yeah. So then I had the Jazz in the second seed versus the Mavs, and I had them.
We're just kind of flip flopping here, but
yeah. And I had them in 6. I don't know what you had the Suns versus Mavs for.
Suns versus Mavs. I had the Suns winning in 7 games.
Okay.
I think it'll be really competitive, especially with Luka on the other team and Porzingis if he's healthy. And then they just grabbed some shooters at the deadline, which is really needed for this team. Like, especially with a team that has Luka Doncic, you have to surround him with shooters. And they just haven't been able to knock down the 3 this year. But when you pick up Nico Melli and JJ Redick, those guys are shooters and they're going to be ready to go for the playoffs. So, yeah, I had Suns winning in 7 in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Luka the benefit of the doubt just because of who he is. And I had 6 instead of 7, but I had it for the same reason. Like, he can get them 2 wins. So he can probably get them 3.
In the next first round matchup, I'm a bit surprised you had this same matchup as me. I thought I was going to seem a little bit crazy here, but I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We had the Clippers playing the Lakers in the first round.
3 versus 6. I was on the same page as you for this reason. The Lakers have been bad ever since those 2 guys. They lost AD and Brown.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, no, but I think they're going to drop to 6 before they get those guys back. And
it'll be too late to get a top seed, I think, especially with how good the West is.
Yeah, so I had it for the same reason. Our difference here is who wins the series, which we talked about in the last episode. Mine's a little
Dude, you
tricky.
Are crazy.
Look at this. LeBron James was drafted in 2003, which would have made me 3 years old. No. Yeah, 3 years old.
Me too.
When he was drafted. But you got to think about this. His whole career, since I was 3 years old, he's never lost in the first round. And I have him here losing in the first round in 7 games to the Clippers.
All right, wait, somebody needs to clip that.
Yeah.
Because I think you're like the only one.
One of our 10 fans needs to clip that. But no, I
have the Lakers winning 7. I just can't see a LeBron and AD team losing in the first round. I don't care how injured they are. I just can't see a scenario play out in my head where that happens. You know what I mean?
I'm just very high on the Clippers. I think
because of Rajon Rondo.
I think there's 2 answers to this series besides Kawhi and Paul George. Take those guys out. The 2 X factors are, like you said, Rajon Rondo in the playoffs and Serge Ibaka. I think Serge Ibaka is miles better than Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol.
So you think the Clippers are more built to win in the playoffs this year?
I think those are 2 guys who are going to be huge in the playoffs. 2 guys who've won rings without these teams that they're on. Like Serge won with Toronto and Rondo won with the team he's playing and in Boston. So I was glad to see him get out of the Hawks because I want him to play a big role, and I think he's going to play a role that beats the Lakers, and I think it's going to be the first round upset where the higher seed wins and it's still an upset. Like 3 versus 6.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah. It's just been a crazy year overall.
Yeah, thanks, COVID.
Exactly. I think this series would be really competitive either way, but like I said, I just can't see the Lakers losing, especially when they just rolled through the West last year with a less talented roster. Like the supporting cast around LeBron and AD this year is better. I think it's just taking a little bit of time for them to mesh.
Another thing I expect is I don't expect Paul George to do what he did again. And I think that makes
he's going to have a little added motivation, especially not in the bubble.
Yeah.
I think him and Kawhi will be better in a non-bubble format. But in our last matchup, we had
first round,
the Nuggets versus the Blazers, and we both had the Blazers winning in 7.
I just trust Damian Lillard. That's all it really comes down to.
Too. Yeah.
Like, we've seen them do it. We've seen them beat the Nuggets, and they're better now. And so are the Nuggets, but I think the Blazers get this done in 7. But it's another one that this is a matchup I'd love to watch.
And it's a rematch from that. What was it? The Western Conference semis from a few years ago.
Yeah. All I remember about that series, other than it going 7, is I think C.J. McCollum had like the game-sealing block.
Oh yeah, I watched that game 7, and so C.J. went ham. I don't even know if Dame played that good of a game, but that's the thing. They got those 2 guards that can just kill you on the offensive end.
Yep. So then we go to the next round here. I have the Suns and the Blazers. What do you have? Jazz and Blazers?
Yeah, I had Jazz versus Blazers, and I think the Jazz beat them in 7 games.
Okay, well, I have the same thing except the Suns. I have the Suns winning in 7 games against the Blazers.
So you got the Suns making the Western Conference
Finals.
Wow, you are.
I think Chris Paul goes on a tear, and Chris Paul and Devin Booker are too much for Dame and CJ. I think that's what it's going to be. I think.
God, are you on something?
Not right now.
Just facts?
Yeah, I'm just on facts. I woke up this morning.
Chose to not speak facts.
Chose to speak facts,
Yeah, I don't know. You can think what you want, but I've got the Jazz versus Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers, by the way, beat the Suns in 6 games pretty handily.
You mean you got the Suns versus Lakers? You said Jazz versus Lakers.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Lakers versus Suns. Lakers win in 6 games. Yeah, maybe the Suns squeak out a couple games, but I don't think it'll be that competitive of a series.
Yep. And then I have the Clippers versus Jazz, and I have the Clippers handling them in 6 games.
Okay.
Just too much firepower.
I had the Lakers versus Jazz, and I think the Lakers pretty much sweep them, but I think the Jazz grab 1 game. Okay. But I also don't think this series will be very close.
So I have the Clippers versus their former point guard Chris Paul, and the Suns and Devin Booker.
Oh yeah, that would be a cool storyline. Yeah. I'll give you that. I just don't see it happening.
And then I have the Clippers winning in 6. Again, just too much. And this makes my finals matchup the Clippers and the Nets, and I don't know if we're predicting that or not. Are we doing?
I think you're the only one that ever
Clippers and Nets, and
AJ, by the way, is the only person to have the Clippers and the Nets.
Clippers and the Nets, and I have the Nets in 7. That's my final prediction.
And I'm like the majority. I have the Lakers versus the Nets. And I actually need to think about this for a second, who would win, because for me this is a battle of juggernauts. Arguably, in terms of talent, this is the most talent-rich NBA Finals, honestly, ever.
Yeah.
You've got 5 top 10 players, arguably, on the court at once. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
For it to be on 2 teams.
Yeah.
Matchup.
Too bad that's not what's going to happen.
I mean, you're just wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm telling you.
90% of people think the Lakers and Nets are, and they're smart because they're smart. And AJ, you just
90% of the people thought the Clippers and the Lakers would match up last year, and they didn't. And the Clippers are gonna fool people again, but in the right way this time. Just watch. I've been watching the Clippers lately, and right now they're the best team in the NBA when they play.
Ooh.
They're not better. Let me say this. I would not have them beating the Nets, but they're playing the best basketball in the NBA right now.
Just bouncing from idea to idea.
Clippers versus...
You're forgetting the fact that they're just cursed.
Nets versus Clippers, and Nets in 7 because they're cursed. They won't win the finals, but they'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me think here. Lakers versus Nets.
James Harden finals MVP
in the finals.
By the way, over Kevin Durant. Which I guess isn't a super hot take, by the way.
It is, because James Harden, his production drops in the playoffs historically.
That is true, but I think it'll be different this year because he's playing a different role.
More of that playmaker, yeah. Ball's not in his hands.
I think KD comes back at 85%. And I think 100% Harden is better than 85 KD.
Okay, so let me ask you this question:
if KD was 100% healthy, I'd have the Nets winning the finals and probably only losing 2 games the whole playoffs.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question here.
Yeah.
if Kevin Durant and the Nets win a ring this year, is that ring more valuable than the ones he got in Golden State?
Yes, because they threw this all together in one season, but it's still not like it's still nothing that it's still not anything like LeBron's rings or anything like that. But it's still impressive, more impressive than Golden State because they kind of just threw these all together. And
like there was no chance of another team winning.
Yeah, like the Golden State had the best record of all time, and then added Kevin Durant. Like the Nets team had D'Angelo Russell and an underdog team, and then replaced it and just threw these talents together. And they have more holes in that Warriors team. That Warriors team did everything at an elite level.
Nice, yeah.
What we have here is the Nets.
I'm so glad that team's done.
What we have here is the Nets winning just because of offensive power, in my opinion. I think all they have to be is somewhat good at defense. That Warriors team was the best defensive team in the league and also was the best offensive team in the league. It wasn't close.
So, okay. I've got the Lakers winning the NBA Finals over the Nets in 7 games.
Okay. This is what I want. Don't get me wrong here. I want LeBron to win another ring. But he's going to lose.
I want disagreement with you because it creates a great podcast.
But he's going to lose in the first round to the Clippers, so it won't really matter.
Dude, I just can't see that. And this only happens if the Lakers fall to the 6th seed, which might happen and might not. We don't know.
Yeah.
But in this hypothetical
situation, it only happens
situation,
in the first round. If they don't fall to the 6th seed and they run into the Clippers in the second or third round, they're still going to lose to the Clippers. But the first round is just more of a shock.
You seem really confident.
I'm very confident.
I'm even more confident.
I'm very confident in the Clippers. Like, book it right now. Like, I will look like an idiot. Clippers in the finals. I'm on my Skip Bayless right now. They're
yeah, for real. Somebody clip this, please. Like, oh my goodness, it's gonna be one of your worst takes of all time. But okay, I know you don't have the Lakers in the finals, but let's talk about a potential Lakers versus Nets finals. Okay, let's talk about the matchups here. At point guard,
Schroeder and Kyrie, or Schroeder and Harden, or Schroeder and Kyrie.
In terms of who's guarding who on defense?
It's going to be Schroeder and Kyrie.
Schroeder and Kyrie. Yeah. Kyrie obviously gets the KCP versus Harden. That's not even close. Although I like KCP as a compliment to LeBron. Yeah. We've got LeBron and Joe Harris. Next question. And then we got Kevin Durant. We got Anthony Davis. Woo-wee! I'll take both, let's be honest.
Are they going to match up, do you think? You don't think LeBron and KD will match up?
So,
I mean, they're not going to... That's the thing about basketball. There's so many switches. They don't play against each other all game.
I think KD is afraid to guard LeBron. But I think it goes vice versa. Like, it's both ways. They don't want to guard each other because they can't. Yeah, exactly. But... and then at center, you just kind of throwing some bums out there, but it doesn't even matter because the teams are so talented. But
I think DeAndre Jordan is better than Marc Gasol.
But if the Lakers pick up Drummond in the buyout, which is they are the favorite to land him,
then
does that change your opinion?
If they pick up Drummond, they'll only lose to the Clippers by 4 in Game 7. I'm booking it.
So that doesn't change
I'm telling you, I'm booking it.
I'm
very confident.
All right.
They got big Zoo and Ibaka. That's enough for Drummond. I'm telling you. But we've never seen a motivated Andre Drummond, so that will be interesting to see.
Or like a motivated Drummond with an actual playmaker on his team.
Yeah.
That would be interesting, yeah. Compare him with Anthony Davis. That's a pretty solid backcourt. Or front court, I mean. Not going to lie. But
the only bias that I might have in here is I love Rajon Rondo, so that might have really changed things here.
Yeah. But I do like the pickup of Rajon Rondo for sure.
But
here's my hot take. Andre Drummond Finals MVP. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think LeBron wins Finals MVP again. Especially if they beat that team. And LeBron gets his 5th ring. And he beats a team that talented.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, I already make a case for him being that. But if he beats that team, I mean, come on. At this point, what case can you make besides 6-0?
Yeah.
and it's no disrespect to MJ, but like LeBron's overall career has just been
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's might be an unpopular opinion to like half the fan base of the NBA, but like when you look at the numbers overall,
I'll have to look at our demographic statistics after this episode, because if it's over like 30, we're gonna get a lot of dislikes for that statement.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
sometimes you gotta say stupid stuff to get views, though.
Thank God we have you to do that, because I'm only gonna say the smart stuff.
You were something else.
Hey, it's just.
I was about to say something, but then I forgot it.
Well, I guess that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, that's going to be it for our playoff predictions post-trade deadline. If you did enjoy, drop a like. I know we just said some crazy stuff about LeBron being the GOAT, which won't be favorable to a lot of you, but that's just what we think.
Just to seal it off, my NBA champs are the Brooklyn Nets and yours are the Lakers?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
and AJ has the Lakers losing in the first round, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know if that got to you guys. Yeah. I just can't fathom that.
Well, you guys wait till it happens, and you'll be very surprised.
And come back to this video.
And by then we're going to be super rich, so it won't matter.
But, yeah, facts. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Drop a like. Let us know in the comments how stupid AJ is. Linked in the bio is our Instagram and Facebook pages, so you can go check those out. Those pages are going pretty well currently, so we'd love it if you guys check those out. We are the Hoop Life Productions podcast. Peace out.
See ya.